we're going to learn how to put bias binding on a circular quilt. So this was a pizza blanket that was gifted to Pop for Christmas, and what we did was we trapuntoed the pepperoni, which is adding an extra layer of batting underneath. Then I just did like a base stitch over top of it, and then we put it on the long arm and quilted. So it's got 2 layers where the pepperonis are of batting and just 1 throughout the rest of the project. It also has a lovely flannel, because we're Canada here, we need flannel. So you only need really 2 tools for this project. You need a ruler and a rotary cutter, or a cutter, some sort of a marking tool, and a cutting tool. So, and then what we're going to do first is I'm actually just going to switch to a smaller ruler just to be able to scoot around this whole project, because it is cute and it's stitched up, and I just want to make sure that I don't want to just kind of like free will it with my rotary blade. I kind of want to give it a little bit structure to come up against. Okay, I'm keeping my hands clear away as well. Okay, here we go. There. And then just kind of go around. You could also just do this with a pair of scissors too. And biased is really important. It's actually stronger than a regular cut binding, as well as it gives you the ability to go around like hexes and circles and curves. That was the seam ripper. So I have left some of the base stitches in that I did for the trapuntoing of the pepperoni, but I will be ripping those out. So, but I figured we could at least get onto this part of it, because taking the stitches out for the trapuntoing part doesn't affect the bindings. And hopefully you got a nice big enough space to work with. Try to make sure that your project is flat. The last thing you want to do is cutting into it and not even realizing that you've cut into your quilt. So keep it flat. Scoot it towards you. Sorry, probably my head's in the way. Slow and steady. And you can see I franken bit my batting. If it's anything for the project, for the house, or for us here, I always try to franken our batting. We usually have some pieces left over from quilt projects, especially if it's just not quite as long. You know, I only charge my customer what I use for their quilt. That's it. Same size as what the quilt is, not anymore. So there's always little extra bits here and there. So it's nice to be able to put those into use, as well as just chopping them up. And I've got a bag ready to go. We stuffed a hippopotamus with some of them, and I'm gonna stuff Sophie's bed. So I got 2 of them, one here and one for the house. I'm gonna refluff those up. So we're gonna restuff the dog. Laying that flat. And I did do a base stitch around the circle to make sure that this part was going to be a whole lot easier instead of having the whole circle flipping and flopping. Okay, there we go. Got ourselves a circle. Just pop that off to the side here. Okay. Retrieve our seam ripper. See, now we have a beautiful circle pizza. Okay. Now we want to make the binding for it, okay? And I chose a close enough yellow that I thought would represent the crust. So what I have here is a width of fabric and then 20 inches, 21 inches approximately here. So you don't want to be using the salvage, so we're going to cut those off first. Okay, use our bigger ruler for this. Okay. And then that is okay on that side. So what we want to do is be able to, bias is cutting it on the diagonal. We have on our ruler here is a 45. There's a 45 line, like right there, okay? We want to make sure that that 45 is lined up on the bottom straight edge of our project, okay? That's the angle we want to go at. So to establish where we're going to start off, whether we're left-handed or right-handed, if you're left-handed, you're going to start off in this corner, and you're going to come over and put your 45 here. You want to scoot it up just a bit. You want to be lopping off a fair size of a triangle because, you know, you're going to use those pieces from here on out as you go on, right? You don't really want the tiny bits, or they can just go for scrap. So, but I would always keep the corners just in case you needed it for something else, right? And that's where you're going to start off and do your cut there, and then move your ruler and work that way. If you're right-handed, you're going to go on this side, okay? So you can lay up your 45 on the corner. Like I said, I'm going to give the width of my ruler here. Once I hear I'm on the 45, and I'm like, that's a good triangle. So just cut that off there. Move that off to the side. Like I said, you can save that for later. And then depending on what sort of width you're looking for your binding, whether it's 2, 2.5, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, whatever it is from there, you just scoot your ruler over that amount. I'm going to go for 2, and it's kind of, to me, it always depends on the thickness of the bind, like where it's got to go too. So I've got a serged edge, batting, and then flannel. So to be on the safe side, I think I'm going to go 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to lop off my pieces, all of them, as I'm scooting across here on a 45. I'm more right-handed, more prominent, though I do use left and right, but more for cutting and stuff like that, for the safetiness of me and my fingers, I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to go 2.5 measure, 2.5 measure, and go just scoot along. Okay. One piece. Take your time. Okay. Another piece. Now, the ones that are pretty much the length of this as it's going this way, you can pretty much just butt edge to edge and stitch them together. The ones that have the edge cut, we'll have to give them a little trim in the 45 in the opposite direction to make sure they fit. Okay, oops, so 2.5. Make sure we're on. And you can see here, I'm coming down past my spot here to make sure I'm going to have a nice flat edge to butt my blade up against. And as I scoot forward, I'm going to scoot my ruler to get me up to the top there. Okay, so I'm going to hold it steady. Scoot about halfway, and then leave my blade and my finger all attached like to this, really firm and steady to my board, and then scoot my ruler up so I know I'm getting past the edge of that fabric, and then just cutting off. Okay. Oops. Halfway. Scooting up, making sure I'm still measuring the 2.5 all the way up. Okay. Just scoot those off to the side. Or you can just shift your ruler. I like to see each piece, so I'm like one of those people. I like to cut each piece and then move it out of the way. Okay. See, in these ones here, we'll be able to just flip and stitch on down from one piece to the next. It'd be super easy for those longer middle pieces. You can scrappy bit the outer edges if you don't want to trim them up and use them for something else. That's completely up to you. But I think I did a good choice on the fabric for the crusty bits. Quite happy with it. Make sure I'm doing 2.5. You can always put a piece of tape to guide you in case if you get a little sidetracked sometimes, forget where you're supposed to be cutting. Now I am probably just going to cut it all because it won't ever go to waste. It'll make a scrappy quilt sometime whenever you little extra pieces. Hopefully you can see what I am doing here. Don't forget to come hang out with us tomorrow. We got a 6-hour stream going on. So come hang out. That is the January 27th of 2024. And then as it comes to these pieces, we'll have to give the 45 on this way to be able to line up those pieces. But like I said, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Just make sure you have enough of the middle pieces to take you around your project. Got a little move, so there's a little bow of fabric in the center. It was kind of bowing towards the inside. So we're just going to straighten it out a little bit. Oops. And we'll go one more. Okay, so now when it comes to the edge pieces, the ones that were on the very corners and the very corners of them, you want to line them up. Okay, so all the edges, so we'll do it on the bottom one here. So all the edges are the same. Okay. Let's do these ones here because we know those are the shorter ones. Okay. And then we're going to go 45 in the other direction. We're going to go this way. Okay. So we're going to take our ruler. Oops, no, other way. Mistake. There we go. So this is on the 45. We're going to take that long edge, put it on the 45, and we're going to come up and lop this way. So you got two triangles. You already got the big half for a flying goose there. So, and then that will help for adding these pieces from edge to edge, getting them to line up. Okay. So now that we're just going to do those. Okay. We've got some static going on. New mat. Okay, let's move our pizza here. I love it. I love my pizza. Okay, so we're going to take our long pieces here. And as we meet them up, we're going to flip them. And we're going to keep 1/4 of an inch of those little ears on either side. Okay, I'm going to pop a pin in. And we're just going to sew on there. We're going to start here and come all the way off. Okay. Oh, I didn't lop off that side on that one, so we'll just move on to another piece. We're going to line that up. Now we either give it a 1/4 inch. I would definitely suggest a 1/4 inch or even a little bit thicker. It should be okay as long as you have a little bit on either side to play with. Okay. And we're going to make sure that we have all the pieces we need. Oh, that was one that got missed. Okay. To go around our project. And a little extra. Just a little bit of 1/4 inch, just that little bit of a dog ear poking out. Now this is great for doing for even dresses, jackets. If you got binding for the inside of bags and stuff like that, this is definitely the way to do it. Just curvy bags. Who wouldn't want a curvy bag? One more, and then we have extras just in case if we need them. So let's just move those pieces off to the side because as I'm putting the binding on, I don't want it to go crazy off. Okay. Tidy up a moment here. We got this last one here to put on. We'll wake up the iron because we're going to press this in half after we sew it. Okay, so again, we're just trying to make sure we have a little bit on either side. And then once we sew this, we'll have a lovely bias binding that's lovely and flexible. Okay, so let's sew all those. I just have the regular stitch on the sewing machine. Make sure it's staying where I need it to. And we can take a look and see if we're happy with the results. Like, that looks good to me, because once folded in half, that's going to line up nicely and be able to be stitched around our project. Okay, so we'll keep on trucking. The next one. Hope you're all having a great week so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that bell for notifications. And if you know anybody who's like-minded and or enjoyed this channel, then please share it. Thank you very much. Interested in having some fun with fabric. We do Long Arm Wednesday shows, and obviously the weekend project shows. We got 2 live streams a week. We have a lot of fun. Come hang out. Okay, I got one more. And then we will press the seams open. Okay. But we're not going to worry about those little dog ears. Okay, let's separate all this. Get our binding all laid out before us. Make sure we've got all the intersections. Yes, we do. Okay, grab our little pressing mat. Sorry, I don't want the chair to come out from under me, so I'm going to get up instead of reaching over and falling over. I did pre-wash the flannel and the blanket, the top that we're using as the quilt top. If you don't want things to shrink like you tossed a wool jacket into the dryer, then make sure you pre-wash. I'm not tugging on the binding, I'm just folding it over itself. We're going to press the seams right here where they join open. Okay. Let's do this one. Just go on. Oops. Come here. Yeah, there's so many uses for a bias binding. Definitely working with curved, like scalloped edges and stuff like that. Like a lot of wedding quilts or fancy quilts have the scalloped edge on it. This would do amazing for it. I probably have too much, but can you really have too much fabric? No. No, you can't. We're trying to make sure those two edges are together as much as possible when we're pressing. Like I said, I'm not even going to worry about those tabs because we're just going to sew down and nobody's ever going to see them. See, we'll be hidden. if you didn't have yardage, you could use fat quarters and just use the same principle for the cutting on the 45. Just got more pieces to put together, more seams. And if anyone is interested in getting one of these, you know, a quilted up pizza, just let me know. We'll see what we can do. Okay, now we're going to take our binding. Now, whether we're choosing to sew it to the back and flip it to the front and sew it, or sew it to the front and flip it to the back and hand sew it, because it's going to be staying here at the house for pretty much the couch and Pop to use, I think I'm going to sew to the front and then flip to the back to hand stitch it. So, but won't be doing that today. Okay, got to. Oh, flannel, you're a wonder. Okay, so what we want to do is to start off, we want to give ourselves enough to be able to put these two pieces together in the end. Okay, so I'm going to give myself, oh, let's just measure out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 inches. Okay, and I'm just going to put that there and put a little pin. And I'm lining my cut edge that I just did with my binding right with the cut edge of the edge of where the quilt is. And I'm just going to stitch along here with a 1/4 inch, hopefully. Make go a little bit thicker to make sure I'm not catching any of that serged part, right? I might go a little bit thicker than a 1/4. That's why I kind of went with the 2.5 inch for the binding to give me that little extra play. Okay, so let's put that under the machine and stitch around, okay? Let's just scoop that a little bit. I don't want everything taken off the table. And I do increase the stitch like a little bit, like to about a 3. Okay, move my pin out of the way. Like I said, I think it was going to get a little bit thicker than a 1/4, so I'm going to try and balance it. Normally a 1/4 inch is right in between where the metal and the plastic here meet. That's where I've measured out. But then there's this little bounce of the walking foot that's just a little bit over. So if I ride the edge of my fabric near the bounce foot of the walking foot there, that one right there, this pointy one right here, then I'm giving it just like a bit of a thicker on the 1/4 inch. Okay. Pop it down. This is a walking foot. I do find walking foots very helpful when it comes to putting on binding when you've got multiple layers. See, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 layers of fabric trying to be popped around underneath your sewing foot. So I always find it very beneficial to have a walking foot. I have just a regular needle in the machine. If it was a bit thicker, like your fabric was thicker, your top, your bottom, your middle, whatever, it's just kind of a little bit more thickness than that, I'd probably go up for a denim needle. Just a bit thicker one. It's not a race, take your time. And that's why I wasn't concerned about those dog ears, because I knew they were just going to get sewn down and no one was ever going to see them. I mean, if they're looking that closely at your quilts, there's a problem. I tell you, every time I look at this, I get hungry. I'm like, I just ate. But I'm hungry for pizza. What's your favorite pizza? I'd like to hear that in the comments. So leave a comment below. Let me know what your favorite pizza is. Just making sure that little ear was popped out here and not tucked up under there. Last thing we want is a little tiny ear peeking out. We're almost there. It's a big circle. It is 60 inches in diameter, so right in the smack center it is 60 inches. That's a good size. It's great for the couch. Get a couple for the kids. So adorable. Okay, so I want to make sure that those two edges are lined up. I didn't press them correctly, but I can try and make sure that when I'm trying to sew them down, they're a little bit better than the way I pressed them. A little bit. And then when we come to the other side, we still want to make sure we're giving ourselves about that 8 inches for play to attach the two ends together. You can cross them over like you normally do, or you can just literally tuck one inside the other and just fold the edge down so you've got like a folded edge. That is up to you how you finish it. Almost. We got here. Actually, let's say we're about there. Okay, let's do a little back stitch just to make sure. Okay, now let's go to the table. And I have to sit with the quilt, most of the quilt facing me. If I turn it around and try to do the binding, I get all confuzzled and I don't know what the heck's going on. So I prefer it this way. Oops, let me just grab some scissors. Okay, so what we want to do is making sure I'm just gonna lop a piece here, okay? And I'm gonna use this as my measurement from that flat edge to this flat edge. When this piece lays over top, I'm gonna let it lay. I'm not yanking it, I'm just letting it lay naturally on top, overlapping it. And then I'm going to cut right here. I'm gonna cut right here where it lines up with that bit of fabric that I just chopped, okay? So right there, and then we take those two pieces, we put them right sides together, just like this. Pop a pin there. Pop a pin there, and then we're just going to sew on the diagonal. You can see a little bit hanging out right there. We're going to sew on the diagonal from that point right down to there. Little point is, we want to make sure we're lining that needle as we're coming straight forward, right to that little point. Okay. Take those out. I usually scoot over just a little bit to be able to get an extra cut of fabric. We make beautiful projects. And then we just cut that off. Put that over in the bucket. And then we're going to take this back over here. And just as I'm going around the edge, I'm just going to pop a few pins in to make sure I'm staying with the curve, and it's going to look good. Okay. So I can just keep on going around until we get there. Sorry, it's probably out of view there. There we go. Beautiful. Fits perfectly. Now we just continue with what we had started right here as we put our binding on. See, and not too much left over, just a little bit. Actually, we could have done with one strip less, but better be safe than sorry. And crossing over our stitches where we started at. Okay, so we have a bit of crossover right there to secure. So then we can go and we can fold this over to the back and be able to hand stitch beautifully all the way around. We're not going to get any pleats or tucks or anything else. It's going to look gorgeous. And the reason why I'm choosing to do that for the hand stitch, I just didn't want the stitching on top to confuse the, I want to give it the crust look as much as possible. So that's what I was hoping for. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. Yum, yum, yum. Ah, perfect. And then if you wanted to, like if you had it on the back and sewed it to the front, you could just come all the way around and you're sure and secure that you're not going to have any folds under each other. It's going to go nice and smooth all the way around because you have that bias binding for your project. Make a pizza quilt. Dare ya. I want to see it. Big hugs, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you soon.